My name is Barry Rosen. I was born in Brooklyn on February 28th, 1944. And I traveled all over Iran as a Peace Corps volunteer. Ambassador Sullivan, with the advice of the State Department, ordered every member of the embassy to go home. And I finally left in November of 1978, and by that time, the revolution had already began.
When Barry was sent to Iran, the revolution and unrest was already starting.
I accepted to go back. And, in retrospect, the question for me, and I always asked, and this is a question I had while I'm lying in Evin prison: why did I go back?
We have two children, a boy and a girl, Alexander the first, and my daughter Ariana.
At the time that I was a hostage in Iran, my son Alexander was only about 3 years old, and my daughter, she was only 2 months old.
During the captivity, we had very little direct interaction.
The only opportunity I had was to write to my family.
If letters came, they came sporadically. We never knew when. It wasn't like I would write him a letter and then he would write an answer back. I had no idea if my letters were getting through.
If they received what I wrote, that's one thing I don't know. Oh, this cartoon, it's dated 2/4/1980. I thought, I have to write something to Alexander. Not a letter in the usual sense, but a little cartoon of some sort. It was a letter for Alexander, a cartoon story from Daddy. And it's a story of me writing a letter, sending it off from Iran to the United States. And I signed it, "Dear Alexander, I love you, Daddy."
We kept it up in his room. Actually, the room the three of us shared together. We put it up on the wall so he could see it every day.
Seeing this really brings me back to a sense of a real amount of
pain
and guilt about
not being
there with him. And
by April, we saw pictures of him on television where he was really sick, losing a lot of weight, in pretty bad shape, and that upset us all very much.
They made that as a propaganda film, but I also at the same time tried to tell my family that I'm alive. The propaganda of constantly trying to show how wonderful they were, how they treated us, was a preeminent means where they kept spreading their lies, the lies that were going on for months and months and months. Tied up in chairs and couldn't get out of the chairs unless we needed to go to the bathroom. And even in fact, they were so frightened that we somehow were these evil demons, that we could escape. They watched American movies and James Bond, and they thought, Americans were in the embassy, of course, the home of the nest of spies. We could do almost anything. they took my shoes away from me because they thought there might be in the sole of my shoe a radio. They made sure that we didn't move. In point of fact, I was actually force-fed. I didn't even know what food I was eating. They said, open your mouth, they throw food in.
The students finally agreed to take some still pictures of the hostages with a film we provided. They also agreed that we could submit a list of written questions, which they would put to them. Here's the start of that interview, conducted by the girl called Mary.
Your name, your job, and today's date.
Rosen, I was the press attaché.
The only person I feel very negative toward, because I had personal interrogations with, was Masume Ebteka.
The CIA had various agents as embassy personnel, to each of whom a cover was assigned.
Used her English knowledge that she had acquired in the United States to interrogate us. And she's one of those high-flying Iranians who send their family over to the United States and have their children educated in the United States and live well in the United States. And that really angers me a lot.
It's something that happens out of the blue, and so now you're faced with all of these, what do you do? What happens if your mortgage is under your husband's or your spouse's name? What happens if the car is registered? We had a car that was sent to Iran, which we were going to use when we were there. Once they were taken, it was shipped back to us, but it was registered in Barry's name. And when I went down to Department of Motor Vehicles, they said, well, we can't do anything. It's registered to your husband. He has to come. But, he can't come. It has to do with money. It has to do with how the house is registered. What do you do?
Day one of Ronald Reagan's presidency and day one of freedom for 52 Americans. Though thousands of miles apart, these two historic events moved almost on parallel tracks today. The new president had not been in office an hour when the former hostages became free men and women again.
I think the Islamic Republic under Khomeini succeeded beyond their belief. The use of American diplomats as hostages consolidated the Islamic Revolution. The fear of the United States somehow coming back into Iran in some way or fashion was totally eliminated. I don't think Khomeini really understood how important his decision was at that time. I don't think he took it lightly, but look, he did not want a relationship with the United States at all. He had said it so many times, in so many different ways. We didn't learn anything. In 1998, President Khatami was talking about the dialogue of civilizations.
امید است قرن آینده قرن نظام‌ها و حکومت‌هایی باشد که زور و خشونت را تقدیس نکنند و باطن قدرت سیاسی محبت و عدالت باشد، به گونه‌ای که گفتگوی تمدن‌ها مظهر و مجلای آن باطن باشد.
I felt that it was an opportunity. Let's see if we could talk. I sensed the time had come to put closed to 444 days that brought me great pain, partly because I want to enjoy the anticipation that a new page in Iranian American history may soon be turned. It was interesting how he was trying to make, I thought, amends. We were in the same hotel. Every day we were there, he'd come down and give me another hediye. He was trying to say, I'm sorry for what happened to you. We disagreed. When I said goodbye to him, I said, take care of yourself. I found out that he was arrested eventually for doing two things: taking a poll of how Iranians felt about America, which was positive, and second, from meeting with me. And that, to me, felt like that was a signal already that the dialogue of civilizations was over. That day is etched in my mind forever. It's more than 40 years that I've been free from Iran, but I'm not free from Iran, in that Iran. There are two Irans in my mind. There's the Iran that I always loved, and I can tell there's a difference. The Iran that meant so much to me. But there is this other Iran that went crazy. It's an aberration. And that's the Iran that hurts me the most in my life.